Hello and welcome to the Academy of the Magical Art. I am Frater Ophiel, and today we are going to be discussing the Elder Futhark runes. We will be discussing how they came to be, their history, how to use them as a divinatory tool, and other ways to apply them to your magical practice. I myself have been working with the Elder Futhark runes for about 10 to 12 years now, and still I learn new things every time I pick them up. The runes are a living energy of the cosmos. They offer great insight, and the more you meditate on them, the more the keys of the wisdom that they hold are granted to you, and you gain new insights on the operations of the cosmos. A little bit about their history. The Futhark runes originated with the Norse, or the Germanic part of the world. They were given to the Norse god Odin. Odin is a relentless seeker after knowledge and wisdom, and he was said to be willing to sacrifice anything for this pursuit. One of his most renowned or known feats of sacrifice is when he sacrificed one of his eyes for more wisdom. The other tale that people are familiar with is how he hung himself from the world tree for what is said to be no less than 9 days. And in this process is how he unlocked the runes. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes. The runes were a written language that were used, as I said, by the Norse and other Germanic peoples. This was used up until the adaptation of the adoption of the Latin alphabet in the Middle Ages. Unlike the Latin alphabet, which is essentially a utilitarian script, the runes are symbols of some of the most powerful forces in the cosmos. In fact, the word rune and its cognates across the past and present Germanic languages mean both letter and secret or mystery, similar to the word occult. The letters called the runes allow one to access or interact or influence these world-shaping forces that they symbolize. So when Odin sought after the runes, he wasn't merely attempting to acquire a set of arbitrary representations of human vocal sounds or language. He was seeking to unlock extraordinary and potent systems of magic, extraordinary power that lent a lot to his divinity and godhood. I think that it's very important that we discuss the tale of how the runes came to be, and then we will actually take an in-depth look at each one of the runes and the energies that they hold and represent. So, I don't know how familiar you are with Norse mythology, but at the center of the Norse cosmos, there's a tree, and this tree is called the Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil's upper branches cradled Asgard, which is the home of the Aesir, or the gods and goddesses of the Norse pantheon, of whom Odin is the chief. He is the king of the gods, or what they call the Allfather. The Yggdrasil grows out of the Well of Erd. This well has fathomless depths and holds all of the most powerful secrets and some of the most powerful beings in the cosmos. Among some of these beings, there are the Norns. In Greek mythology, these are referred to as the Fates, but these are three old women who exert more influence over the cosmos of destiny than any other being in existence. One of the foremost techniques that they use to shape the destiny of others, of man and gods, is by carving these runes into Yggdrasil's trunk. These symbols then carry these intentions throughout the world tree, throughout all of the universe, affecting everything in the 9 worlds. Odin watched the Norns from Asgard and envied their power and their wisdom. As I said earlier, he was a relentless seeker of wisdom, so he saw what the Norns had and wanted it for himself. He bent his will towards the task of coming to know these runes, but knew that since the runes were native to the Well of Erd and rested with the Norns, they do not just reveal themselves to anybody. Somebody has to prove themselves worthy of these insights and abilities. George Washington said that only The only people that should possess power are those who want it least. Now, Odin wasn't seeking after power, he was seeking after knowledge and wisdom. It just so happens that knowledge and wisdom go hand in hand with power. So he was seeking all three, but only actually seeking two. He decided to hang himself from a branch of Yastral, and he pierced himself with his own spear and peered into the well, and waited for, as I said, no less than 9 days. If you want to consider it a form of scrying, that's almost what he was doing. He was putting himself in a position of suspension, and sacrificed himself physically, injuring himself. And he starved himself and fasted from food and water, instructing the other members of the pantheon, the gods and goddesses that sat beneath him, to lend him no help. He was not even permitted to have even a sip of water, no matter how much he cried out. He survived in this state, teetering back and forth on the precipice that separates the living from the dead. At the end of the 9th night, he at last perceived the shapes in the depths of the waters. He was given the runes. They had accepted his sacrifice and shown themselves to him, revealing to him not only their forms, but also the secrets that lie within them. Having fixed this knowledge in a formidable memory, Odin ended his ordeal with a scream of exaltation, extreme bliss. And having been initiated into these mysteries, he recounted or quoted, "Then I was fertilized, and I became wise. I truly grew and thrived. From a word to a word, I was led to a word, and from a work to a work, I was led to a work." Equipped with the knowledge of how to wield these runes, he became one of the mightiest and most accomplished beings in the cosmos. He learned chants that enabled him to heal the emotional and bodily wounds of others, to bind his enemies and render their weapons worthless, to free himself from constraints, to put out fires, and to expose and banish practitioners of malevolent magic, to protect his friends in battle, and to wake the dead even. He could win a lover and keep her, and perform many other feats like these, just outstanding feats of power, but just because he had the ability to do so didn't mean he necessarily did. He referred to this as sacrificing himself to himself. He sacrificed Odin to Odin. Thus, a part of him died and a new part of him was born. I think that will about wrap it up for a brief history of what the runes are, and how they came into be. So now we can begin to take a more in-depth look at the rune essences themselves.